So far, the app seems to be working well. The application, the software for the meeting seems to be working well. There's a lot of interaction with the icebreakers and on the meeting website. I just have a couple of announcements, and then we'll get started with. We'll start with continuing icebreakers. And if I get a little bit, if you're not speaking, if you can mute. We'll start with icebreakers. Then we will have both Jim Holik and Rob Sparrock will speak a little bit before we before the next session. So that's how we'll start this morning. The couple announcements that I have are, one, that the RVOC safety standards have been released. They're live on the UNOLS website, so you can check those out electronically. And to check out, there's been some additions to poster sessions. There's some live poster sessions, so please check the meeting website for the poster sessions, and I'm looking forward to seeing those later today. So to start, we'll start with icebreakers, unless Brandy has anything else. I don't think she has anything. We'll start with icebreakers. First up is Max Kremer from UH.
Yes, hi guys. Glad to be here. Brandy, should I share mine? I have an updated one. There was a picture missing all the way on the right side. Is that possible?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So if you don't mind, I'd like to stay in this presentation mode because it enables me to zoom in just a little bit more. At UH, the Ocean Technology Group, we service the science operations of the research vessel Kilo Moana, a swath vessel. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. I am the tech manager, and unfortunately, all our techs are either at sea currently or on leave, well-deserved leave. We start with our youngest guy, Lance Freimeyer. He's from upstate New York. Interesting background on him is that he's actually a deer farmer. But he is very happy to be out here. This is reportedly his dream job. He's holding up a fossil gold coral, Kula Mana Mana Haumee. These are some of the oldest organisms, colonial organisms on Earth, just recovered recently on our trip to the Northwestern Hawaiian Islands. Moving on to Juliana Deal. She's at this point, our sole female technician, very accomplished senior tech. She's also an ROV pilot in the meantime, and has joined the UH Marine Center dive group to perform scientific diving. Juliana is a specialist in all things acoustic. Please contact her if you have any questions about that or need some help on the Kilo Moana with that. Our senior technician, Jeff Koch, is reportedly, according to himself, has a very high IQ for a parrot. He's mostly rigging, overboarding, safety. He's also has just recently acquired a 65-ton crane license, so it comes in very handy doing loading and unloading. And then we have our IT network guy, Trevor Young, busy employing his most trusted tool on the PAWS-MV and this iteration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Kevin Jerem from the MAC, Multi-Beam Advisory Committee.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kevin Jerem from the Center for Coastal and Ocean Mapping at the University of New Hampshire, and I work on the Multi-Beam Advisory Committee with Paul Johnson, also from CCOM at UNH, and Vicki Farini at Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory at Columbia University. So we're funded by the NSF to provide support remotely and in person to all the UNOL ships with any multi-beam related issues, sea acceptance testing, quality assurance testing, troubleshooting underway, anything that comes up. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to be a resource for you. We'll have a session later this afternoon and get into some details about lessons learned over the last year. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up is Lauren Tuttle with University of Washington.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today, and apologize for the lack of tech pictures. Someday we'll do an RVTEC session where the Thompson's not coming into or going out of dry dock, and all the techs are focused on that, plus Carson cruises right now. This is a list of techs that we have currently at UW. I've been in this position since 2016. We celebrated Stephen Jalicki's 10-year anniversary last fall, which is a pretty great accomplishment. Jennifer Nomura has been at the UW since 2001, first as a student and then working in fisheries, but has been a tech since 2015 on the vessels. Sonia Brugger came to us from the tech pool and has also been in the MAPE program. She joined us in 2018. Same year that Liz Ricci joined us as well. She also had a lot of experience in the tech pool. Just this past year, Adam Stenseth joined us. He has been a contractor on the Coast Guard ship Healy for a long time, and he's brought his networking expertise to the Thompson and the Carson. Those are the full-time techs that we have. I also want to acknowledge that Ken Feldman, our network engineer, has been contracting with UW since 2009 and a full-time employee since 2011. Network design and network upgrades, and now focusing on SatNag and also taking a role in cybersecurity at UW. And then Mike Foy, who's technically working for someone else, but has done an enormous amount of tech work for us on both vessels. All of these folks are kind of jacks of all trades and super competent in everything from deck operations to IT. Some have more strengths in other areas, but together they make a great group. I also want to acknowledge some techs that have come and gone since I started in this position. Darcy Balcarsi was tech here when I started. She's now working on the other side, on the cruise side, on different vessels. Patrick Ahern, phenomenal tech who really helped me get through our midlife. I started in my position about a month before the ship went into midlife, and was trying to get up to speed on a number of systems, and Patrick was indispensable in helping me do that. We got Corey Carlin, who was a tech here for a while and is now at Hui, and also a phenomenal 6-month maid intern that we had here at UW, who's now also at Hui, Emily Chung, who's on, I think I just saw her on the live. And then I also want to acknowledge Brandy Murphy, who was a longtime tech here and has moved on to UNOL. She was indispensable as well when I was new to this position, and I really appreciate all of their help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Next up, we have Lynn Butler with URI.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. So hi, I'm Lynn Butler. I'm interim lead marine tech. And currently I'm it for the tech department. Bill Fanning has retired. Gabe Mathias is on his way to Florida, but may still be doing some trips with us, hopefully, in the coming year. And so we're actually looking for people. But anyways, this picture is Endeavour coming into the dock in the fog this last March. that dock that where I was standing is actually going to be demolished and a new one built there. The new one will be longer, wider, as well as higher to account for sea level rise. And Endeavor will have a temporary home just up the bay from where we normally dock for about the next year. Let's see, this year we supported 107 days at sea for a final total of 13 cruises, which is a variety of coring, moorings, educational outreach, lots of CTDs as usual. Let's see, the long-term ecological research project for Hui. Did a lot of acoustics and also helped with a variety of prototype instruments. Let's see, we've also loaned out our Mach Ness, our Mach 1 for NASA exports, which went out of England. And then once we received it back after a lot of long delays in shipping, we turned the Mach Ness around and now it's on Atlantis for an upcoming trip. And that was all possible with a great amount of skilled assistance from Patrick Ahern of the tech pool. And so, yeah, thank you, NSF and Brandy, for supporting that program. It's been really helpful to us. So we are extremely currently low on ships technicians. We had posted and are in the middle of hiring process currently, but so yeah, if anybody's looking for work, either part or full time, feel free to contact me. A tech manager position is currently posted for another few days, but it's only open to URI employees who are already spread pretty thin. So anyways, more changes are coming at URI, and I'm happy to share additional comments and thoughts offline. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. So I'd like to introduce, so I have a couple folks introducing our team here, Shipboard Technical Support. So first, we have a few functional groups. So we'll be introducing the Research Technician Group, STS Computing Resources Group. With part of that is we've broken off our development operations. That's where High Seas Net support is provided. And we have the Oceanographic Data Facility and our Shipboard Electronics Group. We have Shipboard Geophysical Group. And then we have the Ship-Based Technical Support in the Arctic, the STARK program. So with the STARK program, Brendan Mendenhall has taken over the STARK, the Arctic coordinator role. We have an EH&S specialist, Gary Lane. He works ashore for isotopes, hazmats, runs those programs here for our vessels and some for the SIO campus. It's a split role. And then with the Shipboard Geophysical Group, we have Colby Pedry, who's when we don't have when our portable seismic system is not going to sea, is providing support to sonars, magnetometers, ADCPs, also acoustic instruments. And then we have Doug Pinney, who's an engineer here as well, and provides support to those programs. So next up is Andrew Naslin, and he'll talk a little bit about the RVTEC group.
So we're the RVTEC Technician Group, or RVTEC, at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. We have Charlie Brooks, who's the lead tech for Roger Revell, Josh Manger, the lead tech for Robert Gordon Sproul, Caitlin Webster, and myself. We joined the group about a year and a half ago. Jeremiah Brower, Royhan Augustine, Mason Shideg, Keith Shadle, and our supervisor, Matt Durham.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Next is Nick Binns with Computing Resources.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Yeah, so one of our divisions, the CR group, it's a good number of us. Myself and Maxwell Hughes just came on this year, and we've been learning a lot, especially due to the fact that the ride just came out of dry dock back in May. So that's been fun. We have other members of our group who have been around a little bit longer, Howie Johnson, Brent DeVries, Kenny Kenneth Olson, Mary Huey, Tom Lockwood, and Mark Pumphrey, and then our supervisor, John Meyer. I should mention that Kenneth Olson, Tom Lockwood, and Mark Pumphrey are all part of the DevOps group, which is just another subdivision of our department.
Thank you very much, Nick. Next up, we have Mike Kovach, introducing ODF.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Kovach. I'm a relatively new hire with the Oceanographic Data Facility, ODF. If you've ever sailed on a ghost ship cruise or a GeoTraces cruise, it's possible you've heard of us. We've had a decent amount of staff turnover recently. So here's our current lineup of people. We have Todd Martz is our science advisor. Susan Becker is our manager. John Ballard, Megan, and Tanya are our chemists. And Megan was hired last year, I believe, and Tanya just hired on. And then on the bottom, we have John Calderwood, who's one of the electronics techs that sails with us and does rosette repair, CTD maintenance, and so on. There's me on the bottom next to Aaron Mao, and we're both new data analysts. So Aaron starts in about a month or so. And then I guess an update from us is that we successfully had 2 back-to-back cruises this year. We had A20 and A22 from Cape Cod down to the Virgin Islands and back. And then coming up next year, we're scheduled to have P2, which is going to be Japan to Hawaii to San Diego. So that's all for me.
Great, thank you very much, Mike. Next up, I'm not sure who's presenting for Hui.
I am.
Emily,
hi, everyone.
oh, great, hello, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name's Emily. I just started here at Hui in April, and I'm the newest ship tech here aboard the Armstrong. And so I'll go ahead and introduce our SSSG team. First, we have David Pizzicella. He's the head of our shipboard services department. Sarah Fuller is our operations manager for ships and our seagoing techs. Chris Lewis is our shoreside admin. Chris Greiner and Robbie Laird kind of do a little bit of everything. They're mostly our shoreside support, but then they sail sometimes. And they spent a large chunk of this year working on the midlife for the Atlantis, along with Katie Graver and Allison Heater. And the ship actually just left Hui yesterday to do their sea trials. Amy Simino, Croy Carlin, and myself are all techs aboard the Armstrong. Croy and I just started this year, and Amy's been working here for 20 years, I believe. Josh Eaton and Brian Guest are our winch pool, and Laura Stolp and Becca Hudak do R2R and our networking support for the ships. And that's pretty much the team. We also wanted to share this video. If you go to the next slide. And it should play automatically, if not. This was from a cruise earlier this year, which unfortunately I was not on board for, but during a CTD deployment, we lost our CTD, but luckily we had Jason on board, so they managed to recover it really quickly and get it back on deck. So we thought you would all enjoy this cool video of the recovery. And that's all I have.
Oh, that's great, Emily. Thanks for sharing. Do we have any more? I think that must be all the icebreakers.
Yeah, that was it.
Great, excellent. So I think next up we have Jim Holik to say if he has a presentation or to say a few words.
Great. I'm going to give the NSF report and SF report, and I just I want to welcome everybody again to the world's most fabulous meeting, the RVTEC meeting. I'm going to be really quick so that we can get on to the good stuff. One of the things that people often ask me about is how's NSF set up? And it's not easy. It's rather complicated. But I'm going to go through in 4 slides and 4 slides only, pretty much the way we're set up. So there's obviously the director at the top and advised by the National Science Board and the Office of the Inspector General. The important part are these boxes down here. I can't point at it, but there's those 9 directorates. Soon to be 10, by the way. NSF just got about $850 million to establish a new directorate. It's going to be called Technology, Innovation, and Partnership. Now, I have no idea what that really means, but they're great words, and who can argue with partnership, innovation, and technology? And hey, it's $850 million. I'm sure it's a great thing. So now we have 10 directorates. So next, as we go down from the directorates, am I controlling this or are you, Brandy? Aha, I'm just highlighting the directorate for geoscience, which was the red box down there. I'm drilling down into where we are, okay? So under geosciences, there's 4 divisions. There's atmospheric and geospace, there's earth science, there's ocean science, yay, and then there's the Office of Polar Programs, also yay, because we have lots of people from there attending as well. So we've gone from directorate to divisions. Now let's go one more. Next slide. Now we have a division of ocean science, and under ocean science, there's 4 parts. There's our fabulous part, which is integrated programs. There's the 2 science sections, which is the ocean section, which has biological and physical oceanography, again, science programs. And then there is the marine geoscience section, which is MG&G, marine geology, geophysics, and chemical oceanography. So I'm going to focus on the very left. So the last slide. Here we are, facilities. We weren't always called facilities. I mean, we used to be called facilities. Now we're called integrated programs. And in reality, we are integrated programs, but facilities, we are mostly facilities. So at the top is our esteemed boss, Bob Hauptman. Take a note of that picture because nobody has seen him for 2 years. He doesn't turn his camera on at meetings, so, but we assume he still looks like that, but we can't wait to see for sure. Going down is me. I have to post 2 pictures. One of them is my Unabomber picture, mid-pandemic picture. And the other picture is many, many years ago in 1984 on Conrad. And I post this because this is proof that I at one time was a Marine tech. And some people, and people from the Antarctic program can also verify that I was a Marine tech, although I didn't say I was a good one. And many of you have chased me off the deck. Regardless, below that is Brian Nixon. Everybody knows Brian. Brian knows everybody. Brian handles the deep submergence group and new acquisitions. So he's in charge of the new ships, the 3 new ships that are coming aboard. And to the right, you'll see the Queen of the Fleet standing in an inspection. Here she is telling me to butch it up a bit. And then to the right is her sitting on deck trying to figure out how to take over the world. And below Rose is Jamie Allen, who directs the ocean drilling program. Not pictured are Lisa Rom Meacham, who does ocean education, and Candace Binkley, who handles all the movement of the money, which is non-trivial, and also technology and interdisciplinary coordination, which is a program for like big ideas and things that don't match anywhere else. Note that there's a vacancy. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, let me get to budget, and I'll just leave this slide up in battle. So we are in NSF, and the rest of the federal government is in a continuing resolution. Duh. When have we not been in a continuing resolution at this meeting? It lasts until December 3rd at least. All that means to you guys, I guess, is that you don't get a whole lot of money from me, although you have a fraction of last year's budget. So for 2022, your guess is as good as mine at where we're going to be. you watch the news, I watch the news, there's the infrastructure bill, there's the debt ceiling discussions and fights, and there's a typical the budget negotiations that are going on. So what ultimately happens, we have to pay attention, we'll have to see. But if you pay attention to, for example, the president's submitted budget, which by the way is never really enacted, but it's a barometer of at least where the administration wants us to go. Besides the $850 million that I mentioned for the new directorate, the budget is $10.1 billion, which represents a 19% increase from what we had in 21. So, and then for GEO, if we step down, the directorate of GEO, again, a $1.2 billion increase, which is a 19% increase, which is good. And then we go further down into ocean science, which is us. There is an 18% projected or proposed increase. So all that means healthy growth for NSF, if in fact the two houses of Congress can get together and agree to something. And hopefully they'll agree to something like that. A few more comments. NSF, we are still in a maximum telework mode. I've been at this desk here for 2 years, it seems. Well, it's been 2 years, hasn't it? And we're only allowed to have 25% of our people in office building. Who knows? This is at least till the end of December. So there's no panels in person and no live meetings at NSF. And that's at least at the end of the year. And we don't know what will happen after that. I do want to mention this program vacancy here. It used to be, and y'all probably knew Tom Janicek, it used to be for ship and ocean drilling support. It is open right now, and we are trying to figure out at NSF what we should do with that program. My feeling is, many feelings, and we've talked about it with many of you here, is to make that position responsible for fleet cyber infrastructure and create a new program so that we can have the necessary attention and, just as importantly, expertise towards the field, the part of our field that is growing like crazy. And we're getting a little bit of pushback, but change is always difficult, and people will push back because they think something else is, or maybe we're moving too fast. Regardless, we're working on it, and it's my sincere hope that we will have another program manager that can be dedicated to the issues of cyber infrastructure, cybersecurity, and the instrumentation associated with it. Okay, finished, kaput. On to something else. Certainly any questions, I'm here. If anybody has any questions.
Well, Jim, we appreciate you pushing new concepts and helping people to think outside the box.
Absolutely.
Great. Yep. Thank you.
You mentioned that you weren't having any in-person panels. Do you want to, do you need to recruit?
Yeah, oh yeah, good thing to ask. I have 4 panelists, and I do need to recruit. So if people are interested in serving on the panel, which will be in February, early February, I'd love to hear from you. I want people who are seagoing techs. I want people from management. I want a scientist, male and female, all sorts of whatever. You know, I want to be as diverse as we have been in the past. Dale, I'm almost scared to ask. Go.
A few minutes later, stuff. This server.
You're a little bit hard to hear, Dale. It's crackly.
Let's see. NSF server got reconfigured recently, and I discovered that I'm getting all of the announcements from NSF, and it seems to me like there's a very high number of
position openings.
There's a better microphone. Is that working better?
Much better.
Thank you. Too many choices. Somehow a few months ago, 3 months ago, the NSF list server got reconfigured, and I have been getting all of NSF's emails, and I haven't bothered to figure out how to stop it. But it seems to me in the last couple of months, there have been a very high number of job openings.
That's not your imagination. I think we're just like everywhere else. That's very true. We just had our staff meeting earlier today, and Bob Houtman remarked on how there's so many job openings right now at NSF.
I put that together. I happened to be in Bozeman a few months ago and ran into several NSF program managers who seem to be living there. And it just dawned on me that if I'd spent, the last year and a half living in Bozeman, and somebody told me I had to come back to Washington, I'd have a hard time making that choice.
It's very true. And that brings up another point. On all these job openings that are coming up, they are requiring us to say that the job location is Arlington or Alexandria, Virginia, DC, basically. And even though we all know, or I shouldn't say we all know, we all expect that this teleworking model is going to continue for a while and maybe forever. I mean, it seems to be working pretty damn well. A lot of the program managers have moved to Bozeman. Some have moved to Colorado. Believe it or not, one moved to Cleveland. Why? Who knows? But people have left. They don't live here anymore. So if we ever have to go back, and furthermore, when we post new jobs, they still require us to say they have to live in Washington, or that's where the duty is going to be. So it's a little bit difficult to recruit knowing these two things. But if you guys are looking for work, fill out the applications. We're looking for, we have some empty positions, not as many in our group as throughout the foundation, but good point.
Okay, back to the usual story.
All right, that's all for me. Rob.
Good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Jim. That was a very nice breakdown. I'm going to give a couple of discussion points. Some of them I probably don't want in the general world, but I'll go out on a limb anyway. So, and for some of my points, I'll use exaggeration, because it's better than any other technique. So I am not a leader. I am simply a follower. So if you looked at Jim's slide where he had all the pictures of all those people on that last slide, I imagine myself as a hidden dashed line that's like the assistant to all those people. And so in a lot of ways, I view myself as working with NSF as the lead. So all those people you saw, I do all those jobs as one person. And since I can't do all those jobs as one person, I have to follow NSF's lead. One thing that makes NSF and ONR different is NSF is a competitive sport where different people are competing and it's done by committee. ONR is a competitive sport, but our view of competition is different because we're selfishly a military organization. So we're first concerned about geopolitical conflict. And then of course we're a terrible organization. So we have self-inflicted wounds. So the aviators fight with the submarine officers and the submarine officers fight with the surface officers. And all that said means different people are competing for resources. And then finally, the program managers at ONR are the people who fund the scientists who use support as the technicians. And again, in this case, I'm more of a follower. I don't care what the science does. And in fact, you can see the NSF projects, all those things are in the budgets and in Congress, and my budget is hidden. I'm just a portion of the budget of everyone else's program. So if the acoustics program gets a plus up, I get a plus up so that I can support acoustics research. And if the acoustics program loses money, then I lose money because I'm supporting less acoustics. So in all the cases, I'm really a subset of someone else's decisions and choices at ONR of what things are a priority. That said, I do have the lead for the ships themselves, and I'm always at a constant battle with trying to explain to someone in a military organization. They'll say, oh, we have a science program and you're the ship guy. And I go, well, that's not the way it works. You don't take Navy projects and stick them on Navy ships through the Navy program officer. It's obvious to everyone here that that's not the way it works, but it's not obvious to the rest of the Navy. I do have a DURP budget, and that's probably the one that most impacts you. And many of you who have submitted DURP projects know I've been relatively, I don't know, maybe your perception's generous, helpful, but again, I'm just a follower. I don't own the DURP budget, which is the instrument budget to buy instruments. I influence the person who is the decision maker of the DURP budgets, but I am again in a competitive sport. So in Oceanographic, for the Mac, you want to install a new EM124. That's competing with every other piece of instrument anyone in the world has put in a request for ONR. So I'm the one making a pitch that this acoustic instrument is more important than, I don't know, pick your strange instrument that might have to do with aviation operations. Let's see. On cybersecurity, it's kind of a strange topic. I appreciate UCSD's efforts in trying to get more money. There is a strong possibility I'm going to get a plus up, and that plus up will be forced by Congress. Again, I'm a follower, right? That was all Congress saying, here's money for cybersecurity. I will be unable to convince the larger Navy that the research vessels need funds for cybersecurity. It takes Congress to actually earmark the funds because the Navy is not going to prioritize cybersecurity on the research vessels over other things in its budget. So in that case, the Navy budget, as far as you're concerned, is really more generated by Congress, because Congress has to tell the Navy to spend money on science and research because the Navy wouldn't do it otherwise. Right, because it's not our core mission. So back to controlled unclassified information. It comes in a variety of flavors. Lee has talked about this extensively. The CMMC framework, which is coming to you, is going to be forced on your universities. So it won't be just something that is specific to the research fleet. So in theory, there are all kinds of CUI data, and it becomes very confusing because you all associate it with the Department of Defense. Go ahead. Question? Financial information that is generated is CUI. The fact that the Navy ships were built and the diagrams, you'll find CUI markings on those. Those CUI markings are contractual, which means the person who built the vessel, we didn't buy the full plans for the vessel. So you just can't copy the vessel and, it's more like a copyright. There is discovery CUI, where we think we want to discover something, but we don't know how important it is. So we throw a security label on it. Because again, most of the Navy funded research is a competitive sport. And again, our competition is geopolitical. And so we try to keep the information limited to people who have a need to know, which is sort of the opposite of the entire science program. So if you ever come across these programmers or these performers who are coming aboard with information that is of a more technical nature, in theory, they should be doing it on their own standalone computers until we have cyber systems that are able to handle this. Let's see, another topic. And I'm welcome to handle any questions on that. I will tell you the internal answer I give is, I am not the contracting officer, so I can't tell you how to comply with the provisions. I can only tell you what I think is happening. I am not, again, I'm a follower. I am not the environmental guy. So a lot of you have had some discussions with me on environmental. Let's see how to say this. The Navy is in competition again on environmental. There are people who want to sue the Navy and not let them do anything with sonars, whether it's a sonar on a ship, a sonar from a sonar buoy. It's a an area where there's litigation and there's controversy. And ONR has programs that are designed to prove that what we're doing in terms of taking animals is either limiting the number it takes or is not harassing the animals. That said, you will probably see lots of controversy over things that you used to do. Behind the scenes, that is generally being generated by external litigation. It's being generated by a group that is questioning the science of why we say this sonar is safe. It's a group that's saying this area that you previously worked in is now more environmentally sensitive. Generally speaking, I'm not the approval authority for the environmental. So my supervisor is the approval authority, and ONR as a sub-entity of the Navy has its own authorities to improve environmental work. And that person is different than other people in the Navy. So each subset of the Navy organization have their own environmental policy and legal person. And so two organizations within the Navy can come up with separate environmental decisions because there's no requirement for them to reach the same decision because it's two different decision makers. But so some will operate more cautiously and some will give permission. So you might find that you're doing a Navy project and it was environmentally approved before, a different group within the Navy's doing it and it's not environmentally approved. Or it used to be environmentally approved and it's no longer environmentally approved. Let's see. Technology. Again, we're in a lot of geopolitical competition, particularly with China. I'll give you an example. So Chinese UAVs are not permitted on the vessels or in the networks or on DoD facilities. Why we pick Chinese UAVs, there's a discussion over a beer. But there'll probably be more and more things like that, where if you're trying to find instruments and you're finding them being manufactured in places of geopolitical competition, you might find yourself having to have that instrument physically removed from the ship. So be cautious when buying technology from geopolitical rivals. I did give you all an interesting brief on the objectives of the Chinese Oceanographic and Technology Program, and their efforts are designed to find all the information that you're doing plus their own information. So I'm kind of the opposite of Jim. Jim is more, yes, let's do science and let's make it open, and I'm working at an organization that wants to be less transparent. Let's see, what else do I have? I think with that, I will stop. I will say that my budget is relatively stable, so I expect to fund the same amount of ship time. And I continue to support the NSF program managers and really enjoy this job that I have and hope to be with you for at least a decade or so. Standing by for any questions.
Alice, I noticed you unmuted yourself. Was that for question?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, Brandy.
Questions? Thank you very much for that, Rob, for those and all the information provided throughout the year. For I know on my side with cybersecurity questions and environmental questions, we do appreciate the support and pointing us in the right direction and any advice you've been able to provide.
Thanks.
Like
no, it's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it looks like we have a question from Frank Reck.
Oh,
Frank, yes.
Yeah, it's not so much a question as a comment. I want to thank Rob and Jim for explaining their roles in the process. I'm the program manager in Arctic Research Support and Logistics at NSF, and I look after the Stark award. I just put an announcement in the chat that there's a position for a science project manager in the Arctic Sciences section, helping to support the Arctic Research Support and Logistics Program. So if anybody's interested in that, they can go to that link and find out more information. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for joining us today, Frank. It's good to see you here at this meeting. There were some good topics.
My pleasure.
Any other questions today for folks while we have everyone here?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's one other thing. I asked Brandy to send out a list of STEM-like projects that the Navy has funded in the abstract. And I think if you take a scan of those, you'll see some things that are interesting that the Navy's funding, and it kind of gives you an idea of what things we think are important enough to fund. And I'm happy to, again, I'm not the leader on any of those. I don't choose the STEM projects, but I know the people who do. They ask me my opinion, and I get to influence it. So if there's something you want help with, I am happy to point people in directions and make connections.
Yeah, those were definitely interesting. I can say for everyone that we are going to have a session with the about the cyber infrastructure and cybersecurity. Some of the same information, similar information presented to UNOLS at the UNOLS annual meeting, but with more RVTEC, some RVTEC specifics.
Thanks all.
Great.
Yeah, I sent that link, Rob, to the RVTEC mailing list this week, but I'll also send it out as an announcement for the event here.
Great. So that gets us to 10:50. So I think now, Brandy can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think now we have a 10-minute break, and then we're going to start with our multi-beam session, the multi-beam session at 11 a.m.
Yeah, we have the opportunity for a bio break. On the hour, we'll reconvene. It's a different session in Whova, so it's a different Zoom window. So if you go to the agenda tab sessions, the next one is multi-beam, and we'll be hearing from NOAA, MAC, and UCSD about multi-beam upgrades.